Anytime I come back from school with my report card, my brother or father will ask me, "Did you come first?" If I say no, the reaction was very different, right?
What it meant to receive those prestigious academic honors?
I was working very well in IT technology world. I was this close to getting my green card.
Yeah.
But I gave up all that.
Being from small town is now kind of a superpower. It's an added advantage.
But I think for me, coming from a small town was this hunger. Co-working has evolved significantly in the last few years. Co-working is generally much better than some of the more traditional corporates.
So which IPL team would you like to own and why?
CV. And finally they won after 18 years. So I would love to own if I have the opportunity and possibility.
Hello and welcome to the Corner Awfis podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with someone who is not only redefining urban development in India, but also putting sustainability at the core of real estate business. Mr. Amit Kumar Sinha, MD and CEO of Mahindra Lifespaces Developers. Welcome to the show, Amit. It's a real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Sumit. I'm really delighted to be here.
Great. So let's start from the beginning. How were your formative years? Was there any early influence at home or school that quietly sparked your interest in technology or real estate?
Well, I'll go back a few years. Formative years, I was born in northern part of India, Karnal. So spent a good amount of years, formative years in Delhi area. And then my father had a transferable job, so he went to Assam and there were no schools. So I moved to a place called Dhanbad, a place near Dhanbad called Sindri. And you know the famous movie Gangs of Wasseypur, actually that's shot with Dhanbad in mind. So I spent 3 years here, then my father got transferred back to Odisha. And that's where I did my high schooling. And then went to do my engineering from Ranchi Birla Institute of Technology. So in a way, northern part and then the eastern part of India were the key parts of my formative years. They were interesting, I would say, right? And a few learnings for me as I look back upon those years. First one was just the hard work and excellence. Right? Anytime I come back from school with my report card, my brother or father will ask me, "Did you come first?" If I say no, the reaction was very different, right? So I realized the value of hard work and excellence from those days. And the second was flexibility, living with parents, living with brothers, then living in different parts of the country. It has a different set of, friends you have to rebuild, that was quite different. But I learned my way out. And the last part was a little bit of adversity when you are in high school. I used to study in Hindi medium school.
Right.
And I remember my first time I went to play soccer and they said, you're not part of the school and you come from a Hindi medium school, so maybe you should wait it out. So I think that gave a little bit of, energy, excitement and say, hey, you'll have adversity wherever you go.
Right.
But how do you overcome the adversity is critical. It defines you, redefines you. So those are a few parts of my, few tidbits from my formative years.
Right. Great. And since you mentioned Gangs of Wasseypur, did you experience any such kind of thing in front of you?
No. It was very smooth. I was I was 10-year-old. I didn't see much of that, but I did see one thing. There was a lot of coal and, dark particles all around in the air. So that was the only extent of Gangs of Wasseypur reference.
Right. So you earned a dual MBA from the Wharton School, specializing in finance and strategy, where you received both Palmer Scholar Award and Cybel Scholarship for academic performance. So can you tell us about what your Wharton experience was and what it meant to receive those prestigious academic honors?
Yeah, no, that was one of my best experiences and the choices that I made. I was working very well in IT technology world. I was this close to getting my green card.
Yeah.
And then during those days, getting a green card was considered, that you arrived and you were settled. But I gave up all that because I wanted to get education, which helped me really redefine my trajectory from a professional point of view. So Wharton happened. and it was a great set of two-year experiences for me. For I would say three reasons. Reason one was coming from a Hindi medium school, studying in Kendriya Vidyalaya,
Right.
high school, Birla Institute of Technology was, a good school for India, but nothing compared to the global stage. I think the exposure was outstanding, and gave you a lot of confidence that if you can, stand up with the best in the world, you actually can do many things with the options that are given to you, the education that's given to you. The second was the network that you build. I think there were 800 classmates and there were almost 60 countries represented. And I still have many friends from my Wharton days. They're just one call away, one email away. I think more than the education alone, the network helps you. And in business, you know as well that it's not the sharpest answers that help you, but the relationship asset helps you really get things done. So that was the second part. And third part was it gave me an entry into a career that was hitherto untouchable. Like, when you're in technology, you cannot go into business, that too in US, and consulting was coveted, consulting and banking. I chose to go in consulting. And there is no way I could have gotten it with my undergrad or my technology experience. Just it helped me change my career trajectory completely. And it was a fabulous experience. Wharton is a great school, Philadelphia a great place. I keep going back,
Right.
and have amazing connections still.
Great. And do you think being from small town is now kind of a superpower? It's an added advantage because it brings more tenacity?
Yeah. I think a very interesting question. I think I have two daughters,
Yeah.
And I see one of them very different than the other, and the one that differentiate the two is the hunger.
Yeah.
One is very laid back dreamer. The other is hungry, trying to push. Both are brilliant girls, but I think for me, coming from a small town was this hunger.
Right.
Because you sometimes feel that you don't belong to where you have been exposed to, and then trying to show that you can actually get there, you can actually match the best in the world. Actually, that hunger defines you, and I think hunger motivates you. And I think I see that quite a lot. I do a lot of interviews for my company, even for Wharton. I see that the hunger allows you to propel yourself in your career, in your business, in your career choices.
Yeah. Yeah. So your career has taken you across multiple geographies. How has working across different regions helped you tailor strategies to suit varied market dynamics and customer needs?
Yeah, it's for me the Bain experience was outstanding. Even technology experience, I worked in India, Singapore, and US. And even at Mahindra, I've been exposed to multiple geographies, multiple businesses. And I think the exposure is, hugely valuable. It allows you to connect the dots. It helps you find the commonalities that exist. It helps you distill what creates value versus what is nice to have. So that learning is hugely valuable, right? And if whether you're trying to create value in a US client, US business versus Indian client, the expectations are the same. Like create value for shareholders, delight your customers, keep your employees motivated and happy so that they can actually deliver on those expectations, shareholders and customers. I think those things are very common, but how do you do that is slightly different in each of the geographies. And I think as I worked across consulting or technology or even at Mahindra, that connecting to the dots is very helpful. So that's one. The second is, I think as I touched upon earlier, the network is hugely valuable. I'm going to Japan actually next week, and I had, hey, because of this exposure or connect from the past, I said, hey, I have some time, I'd like to meet some of my friends there. And I will tell you, it was within a day, I got a few responses that, hey, we can actually meet, connect. and we haven't met for many years.
Right.
But this is a relationship asset that allows you to leverage at some point in life. My younger daughter is applying to college and she wants to learn more about Japanese culture, and they set up some appointments for her to get to know the Japanese culture.
Right.
All those things are quite interesting. That network impact is outstanding. And the third part is, which is a subtle part, is that, and it connects to your previous question with tier 2 town and hunger. When you come from a tier 2 town or even in tier 1 town in India, you feel a little bit of awkward, uncomfortable as you go to global stage, right? You don't know whether you have what it takes to be accepted, you have what it takes to be given value, why would people listen to you? As you spend more time traveling and learning from other geographies, that slowly dwindles away.
Right.
And so you say, people are similar. They respect you because you have something good to contribute. They respect you because you have been good and kind to them whenever you interacted. And that is, that gives you confidence to do more. And I feel that that's something, it takes time to come through, but it does come through.
True.
Yeah.
So speaking of your career trajectory, you spent almost over 2 decades at Bain. So can you share insights about your progress there and key projects that shaped your leadership philosophy?
Yeah, I think maybe I'll talk about 2 projects. I will not name the clients, but the one project was where I was working in a shipping industry, coastal shipping, not transcontinental, right? And there were some issues, and the CEO had to resign and move out. And the client said, why don't you step in the shoes of the CEO?
Wow.
And run with your Bain team and run the company till we find a substitute CEO soon. And it was, I think, 4 to 5 month gap. It was quite interesting for me because, as a consultant, you are always, I can make great slides, but I may not be around to see the impact of those slides. This was a textbook case where I've made many slides. Now I have an opportunity to clearly create a huge impact of what I've been telling. And that was an outstanding experience. We turned around the business, which was unprofitable, in practically 6 months to a EBITDA positive, not necessarily PBT and PAT positive, but EBITDA positive, which was huge. And for me, that was a huge mind shift change, because I felt that, hey, the slides can do so much, but if you really can show and bring the impact from a shareholder point of view, from a promoter point of view, from a client point of view, nothing better. So how do I bring that mentality into every one of my successive engagement? And I try to bring that, like, hey, let's not just focus on slide. Let's see how this can be implemented. How can we actually create the change on the ground? The second part is a project where we were working a very large global project, and we had to take some tough decisions on the people side, right? And it wasn't easy because you were letting go of lots and lots of people. Tough decision, right?
Right.
But it taught me how to balance the human element with the financial element, right? Financially, you're forced to take an action that you may not want to, but from how you plan the exit needs to be in a very humane way, in a very, very empathetic way. And that exposure is very valuable for people who are in consulting, because they are working with type A personalities,
Right.
Smaller teams, who will automatically find jobs for themselves if they have a tough time. But when you're working with masses, how do you actually help them while you are giving them a tough message is something that I I learned it the hard way. And it's not a tens of them, there are hundreds of them, right? So how do you actually make the transition was very important. The key learning for me was whenever you are in operating role, now I am, don't forget the people aspect, the human aspect of any decision, because their livelihoods impacted, the families getting impacted, and you have to be very thoughtful about people in any of your decisions. So those are a couple of experiences.
Great, both are very insightful. Amit, just a follow-up, you touched a very interesting point around on consulting experience versus an on-ground execution experience.
Yeah.
I have few friends in consultancy, various, the big fours. And there's always a point, should I come to the other side?
Yeah.
Am I right? Or if I spend too many years in consulting, I may not be the right person to go on operating, kind of experience. How do you think do you think a larger portion of folks from consulting could be good at execution as well?
Yeah. It's that's a age-old question. Across countries, across markets, even I face that question, and luckily, I've been able to manage that. It's not very difficult, but it's a question that you answer for your stakeholders. It's perceived that somebody who spent a lot of time in consulting is used to smaller teams, high type A personalities, high IQ, low EQ, exposures, right? Whereas as you move to an operating role, it may not be, let's say, I don't want you to low IQ, but let's say, the number of people who require high IQ may not be too many, but you need to have very, very high IQ, EQ component tied to it. You have to be very empathetic, understand the people. It's not easy. But people who are aware of this, some of the experience that I had, help me expose to the people element. If they're exposed to it, it's much easier transition. But the second part is, I have a small theory of what's constant and what's variable. Like if you say that if I have to transition to an operating role from consulting, and I'll figure out that's a constant. The variable is how. Right. The other is, okay, let me figure out how, and then we'll figure out whether I want to go to operating role or not. That going to operating role is a variable, right? Two different ways of thinking, right? If you say that I have to go to operating role and make it work, and I learn, unlearn, and relearn, I think that's much easier. But if you go with a little bit of a closed mind, saying I'll figure it out and I'll see how it goes, then I'll decide whether I want to go. That doesn't work out. So the first part of the answer was how do you need to build a skill, but the second is mindset required to actually make the shift.
True. And Amit, you are known to be a leader's leader, someone who has opened doors and created opportunities for many. Has it always been a conscious part of your leadership style, or did it evolve over time?
It did evolve, I must acknowledge. And I think all my years consulting pushes you on your hardcore value, addition skills. Like, can you create tremendous amount of value when you show up to client, you tell something that they have not thought about. So, like, brilliant insights is what's expected. But as I mature in the consulting, then I realized that the brilliant insight combined with how you say it, the kind of communication skills are extremely important. Then I also realized that, what about the people aspect, right? If you don't care about this is a great insight, let's fire people, the previous example, and you have not thought about the people aspect or impact on people, it is going to create a lot of challenges from an implementation execution point of view. So the role of people becomes even more important, right, in every decision making. So in my early part of my career, I was very focused on the first part. Later on, realized the second and even the third one becomes probably more important. The first part is where you control a lot. In the second phase of my career, so you give up a lot, right? And give up a lot means you have to delegate, you have to trust, you have to empower, and say that let's see, what can go wrong. right? What can go wrong in a presentation, right? And I'll step in if I need to, right? What can go wrong in our recommendation? Let's give a chance to somebody who's actually seen it from an operating perspective. And that realization came to me in the later part of my career in consulting. And actually, it has been very, very valuable because as I came to Mahindra, it allowed me to redefine myself. I remember our group CEO Anish asking one day that, hey, you hired these amazing women leaders, but they are doing so well. One of the businesses wants them to move to their business. And I said, I just hired them, not even 9 months. I worked maybe 6 months to hire them, and now 9 months later, you're telling me to go, let them go. And the next day I said, you know what, Arish, it's okay, let them go because it's good for their career.
Yeah.
Right. And they're excited about it. The receiving organization excited about it. I will find a way to find somebody else. Right. It won't be easy, but it's good for them. And then that part of relinquishing or letting go is something that started to happen a lot more in Mahindra Counter because the nature of the organization is that at Bain or consulting, you want to keep your people because they give you leverage, right? Here, you say, what? It's okay. They will create value in another part of the organization. So ever since I moved to Mahindra, it's been a conscious effort for me to say that what's right for the individual, what's right for the business. Letting go is actually good for the organization. And even in many Mahindra Lifespaces, when somebody resigns, I worked hard to say that, hey, what can I do to retain, not all, but let's say type A performance who are the balance skills, if they're leaving for a better career opportunity, can I find ways for me to retain them at Mahindra Lifespaces or even at Mahindra? And I've been pretty successful, or we have been pretty successful in retaining some of the great people that we had who had resigned, and then we kind of induced them to pull back their resignation. So and then create more opportunities. Some of my direct reports, I trust them blindly. I said I'm empowered, and if I'm not there, doesn't mean that you can't carry on. And actually, that has created a very positive vibe in the company.
And they're very, very good and a very different kind of a perspective than what traditionally we had been hardwired to work around on.
Yeah, control. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe you were in Time Magazine's 100 most influential climate leaders in business. I think one of 9 Indians featured there, and that's quite a feat. How do you respond to climate change deniers and skeptics? And there are a lot out there.
Yeah, that's a lot is happening, and especially after what US was a big support in Trump 1 and now Trump 2. I think we see a huge difference in how US is approaching sustainability, climate change. We at Mahindra have taken a conscious call to say that, hey, we want to be global leader in sustainability. We call it ESG.
Right.
It includes all the 3 components, right? We want to be global. We don't want to be just comparing ourselves to the local or national boundaries, and say that we want to play the global game. And I think Mahindra Lifespaces actually is inspired by what Mahindra Group is trying to do because they have a huge auto portfolio, right? Similarly, that's the biggest source of, let's say, carbon emission. We have buildings, which is the top 3 source of carbon emissions because we use steel and cement and aluminum and many other things, right? So a lot of things that are going on in Mahindra Lifespaces which helped with this Times Magazine is how we have approached it over the last few years. From 2014, we have only been making green buildings. The bar is not very high, but it's actually we've been doing it for the last 11 years now. Then there is IGBC. You used LEEDs in our previous conversation. That's for commercial building. In residential, there is net zero. Net zero energy, net zero waste, net zero water. Each one of either is getting tougher. So we have consciously worked towards attaining those kind of building or projects. And why we are able to do that is because we are thinking about them from design stage. Like if you have the seasonality, the solar pattern. If you design your windows, for example, you want a lot of light to come in, but least amount of heat to come in.
Right.
So if you make too big a window, light will come, but heat will also come. So then, should you design very small windows? That's not going to work, right? So the material science aspect, what kind of glass should you use? That becomes very important. And it should allow light, but it should prevent heat. Now we are thinking about these choices from a design stage, right? If you're going to design a lobby, do you want it to be air conditioned, or should you have one with cross ventilation, so that you don't need to waste electricity cooling the lobby, which is 24/7. And these are choices that we are doing, and as we brought them to the external community, it became apparent that we are one of the leaders on the sustainability side. We are the only developers who have CDP A rating, and part of the above for the Times magazine that recognized more life spaces, and I happened to be at the right place at that time.
Great. So you've got this amazing consulting background, and now you are deep in real estate world. Which are the top 3-4 cities you are prioritizing for residential development currently? And what do you think is driving your market selection criteria?
Tough question, but because we were in many cities when I took over,
Right.
I have consciously reduced the footprint. So we have prioritized 3 cities: Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. At the 3 cities, we will go for depth.
Right.
This is an industry which is very local.
Right.
It's not a national industry where you can say, oh, I've got a 5% national share. What matters is what kind of share you have at a local level. For example, our market share at a local level in Mumbai is less than 1%.
Right.
And the biggest player will have 6%. So it's not that they are so big,
Right.
because the market is very unorganized. A lot of tier 1, obviously, like us, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 developers are participating. So our goal is to go for depth, and that's why we wanted to consolidate in few locations where we can get a depth that is commensurate to the Mahindra brand that we have. And in this specific brand is very strong because of our other businesses. So we want to make sure that wherever we participate, we are deep and large enough to make an impact. Once you have this virtuous circle going, you have good products, word of mouth referral, new projects come your way, and then it creates this circle. It allows you to grow very quickly, and from a shareholder point of view, it's quite powerful. So that's what we have done. 3 cities, let's focus on those. We decided to exit a few cities. Even NCR, we are saying that while we are doing a project, we will wait out for a year or 2 years till we have sufficient scale in these 3 cities before re-engaging with the business development efforts in NCR, which is a big market, by the way.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say. We will not participate there for the time being. And then we have these 2 huge locations, Jaipur and Chennai, which are our own world cities.
Yeah.
We will do some residential because we already have the land, and there is a walk to work kind of residential component tied to it. So industrial locations, factories coming up, we'll set up some residential. So that's where we are going to be focusing on. And our goal is to really scale our presence in these cities. We have announced a 5x growth, when I joined. Now we are by FY30, we've achieved some growth. So 3 times in 5 years is what we are trying to do.
Wow, that's a very, very, very ambitious target. Yeah.
Thank you.
And at a base which you are in, 3x in 5 years is a very ambitious target.
Yeah.
Right. So Mumbai is always fascinating. We know the skyline, but it's a very competitive space, as you mentioned. So how are you positioning, let's say, Mahindra Lifespaces different from competitors? And which micro markets in Mumbai are you most bullish on?
Yeah. So the competition part, we call it CVP, customer value proposition, right? Why should a customer buy our product versus any of the competitors' product? And that's a very important question you ask. And we spend a lot of time. What is the key purchase criteria of our customers or typical customer? And before that, we need to understand who our customer is. Is it professional? Is it business? What's the age groups? We've done a lot of study on that. And we found that the real estate purchase is shifted over the last few years. Last decade was a tough decade for many customers as well as developers, where both are unhappy, right? Because customers didn't receive their guarantee house, the dream house, and the developers went out of business. So it didn't work out for many. So there are two parameters which are like table stakes. We call them location and budget. People say, hey, I want to live in this vicinity and this is my budget that I want to. And then they will stretch a little bit, they'll be a little bit flexible on the location nearby, but they're not going to say, hey, if I have to do something in Kandivali, I'll move to South Bombay. That kind of variation doesn't happen. So these are two stable stakes. But the next parameter from a purchase point of view, which is becoming extremely important, is the brand. Because of the reason I mentioned, like the last decade was a tough one, customers want a surety of delivery. I have paid you money, give me my home at the right time you promised, in the way you promised, along with the project amenities. Very simple. And it seems simple, but there have been many misses in the industry, right? So the brand signifies the trust, and Mahindra brand is one of the strongest in the country, not just in real estate. And that's a biggest value proposition for us. Like we say, we'll treat you with respect. You are giving us money. We will make sure that you get the delivery of your home, your dream home, as promised, right? Then there are three parameters which are specific to the project. Could be the apartment layout, how it's designed, the project, how it's laid out with amenities, and social infrastructure around it, so that it becomes a habitable, exciting place. And the last part, which is the fourth part, is the spiky features, which have great views or access to something that others don't have. So now from a comparison point of view, what we are trying to do is trying to differentiate into each one of them. So brand, we are really leveraging Mahindra brand. We have revamped Mahindra Lifespaces brand. It's called Hope, Home of Positive Energy. And our view is that there is a rational part of decision making, but when you walk into a house, there is a feel good factor. And some people call it Vastu, some people call it, your sixth sense. That is the positive energy. If you get a positive energy from the home, you'll buy that. So redefining the brand. Similarly, we are making sure that each element of the apartment, the project, and social infrastructure, we are distinguished. One example on the project, on the apartment, is a balcony is something which is, cherished but not delivered in many projects, right? So how do you actually create even a small but balcony which residents can enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Just so that you get to feel the fresh air, right? Another small thing is walk-in wardrobe. Like, when you have a room and then suddenly you put this wardrobe in one wall, it just takes so much space away. So can you just have an L-shaped walk-in wardrobe, at least in master, ideally in all bedroom. So it just makes the feel of the room much better, and the residents will enjoy it. So these kind of design changes we are bringing in. And then the sustainability angle, right? Our Kandivali project, Vista, is a net zero energy project. So, the energy, we've designed it so well, there are a lot of greeneries, it helps you, create the sustainability edge, which is many of the competitors don't have.
Right.
And as we ask the customers, why do you buy, what do you think of sustainability? They don't really understand. And I heard a channel partner say that to a customer. It was quite funny, but actually very practical. He said, and I'll say that in Hindi, is that यहाँ पे इतने पेड़ हैं कि आपको हवा बड़ी अच्छी लगती है यहाँ पे. इसकी हवा, इस प्रोजेक्ट की हवा बड़ी अच्छी है. तो फॉर ए कस्टमर, हाँ हवा अच्छी है, मैं नीचे जाऊँगा, घूम के आ जाऊँगा. इट्स वेरी गुड differentiator.
Right.
And just same thing, like you've done that in terms of social infrastructure, spiking features. We have designed a few things that allows us to distinguish in a small way each of those components from a customer's purchasing criteria. It's not easy, but we are working towards it.
Right. And how do you see Pune and Bangalore as the cities in terms of, as a developer, how easy or difficult is it to do business over there? How easy or difficult it is to pick up new projects over there? So how do you see the business environment in these two cities?
So Bangalore is very competitive.
Yeah.
It's I would say to a large extent it's corporatized from a developer point of view. There are no small developers.
Right.
Like I would say the top developers will have 70-80% market share, and they're very aggressive. given the growth, we were talking about the commercial real estate earlier. Bangalore is the biggest beneficiaries. All the GCs are going there. Tech continues to be healthy. Startup ecosystem is quite attractive there. So office demand is very high. As a result, the housing demand will continue to be healthy for many years. Price points are very affordable compared to, let's say, Bombay or NCR. All the developers want to get a share of that, and that gets reflected in how they are ready to pay higher prices for the land. So we have to move we have to be very agile, move very quickly to take decisions. We have been, I made Bangalore a priority. So we are moving aggressively, acquiring, land which is critical for us. But I see Bangalore will continue to be healthy, given all the reasons that I mentioned. But you have to be very agile to actually lock in the right parcel of land at the right locations. Pune is slightly different. Pune is like a younger brother of Bangalore in terms of all the things that we mentioned. And Pune is also becoming wider and coming closer to Mumbai with all the missing link and Atal Setu and new airport and many other things in between. And it will have a very positive rub-off effect that you will see from what's happening in Mumbai. And it will also continue to be very healthy in terms of demand. The inventory overhang in Bangalore is the lowest. Pune is the second lowest. Okay. So whatever you launch gets consumed in, let's say, 12 to 14 months. So there will be a continuous demand. But there's a lot of people coming into Pune. So I sometimes wonder about the oversupply. But it's not going to be a tough one because the price points are very, very affordable. It's probably 40% to 50% of Mumbai price point. So it will continue to be attractive.
Right. And have you ever considered getting into the bandwagon of second homes or setting up large projects in, let's say, Alibag, because that's a kind of a larger trend, especially after COVID?
Yeah. So we do have, and we did that I think 14 years ago.
Okay.
We have a project in Alibag,
right,
which is 45 minutes from the jetty.
Right.
And that has done moderate in the past. Now we have changed it, so we have now done plotted, which has sold like anything. And even the villas are starting to sell quite a lot. So we had considered that, and it's in the past it wasn't doing well, but now it's doing better, much better. We are now looking at not the Alibag side, but the Mumbai Pune infrastructure, like the trunk road infrastructure that you have. Not necessarily Lonavala and Khandala, but maybe Karzat, maybe somewhere other closer to let's say Panvel area. So those options are opening up, and the Atal Setu has done wonders.
Right.
While we are thinking of second home, we are also thinking of first home. Because a lot of economic activity will get created around the new airport. Right. And if you are 60 minutes away, you are practically entering Lonavala, right?
Right.
So, we are thinking about if the infrastructure is good, connectivity is good, can that be a first home also? Because the second home market is limited, but if you can tap into a alternate first home market, not necessarily very big size, it actually is going to be a good option. So to answer your question, Alibag we have tried.
Yeah.
Next in the past, now recovering, we are exploring options between Mumbai-Pune highway infrastructure.
Got it. So can you elaborate on your industrial cluster development in Chennai and Jaipur? What is the rationale behind choosing these locations?
So they were a little bit of a historical reasons. Both these are PPP, so public-private partnerships. The Chennai location is with Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation. Jaipur is Rajasthan Industrial Corporation, Investment Corporation. 11% Tamil Nadu, 26% RICO. The reason they happened is because both these states wanted to develop world-class infrastructure to attract global as well as domestic clients. These partnerships said, hey, while we have done our own industrial parks, but partner with Mahindra allows us together to tap into the global clientele. And we have done really well as Mahindra in this partnership to create one of the most amazing infrastructure. Um, just an example at Chennai, World City Chennai, 2 years back there was so much flooding. Mahindra World City Chennai, there was no flooding, even though there were a lot of rains, because the storm water drainage system was very well designed. So all the water that came in got drained into the nearby lakes very, very quickly. So that's a small thing, but tells you how we design the road infrastructure, the STP, all the services, stormwater drainage system, the electricity infrastructure, etc. is done to a global level. And that prompted again for us to go to Jaipur, right, where the same aspiration was. So it happened with a partnership at the highest level, that we want to create something to excite and attract the global clientele, and that's how these specific projects were launched. And so far we are almost out of land in Chennai. We have some land left in Jaipur, and hopefully we'll continue to attract good investments.
Right. Any more such clusters you are trying for?
Yeah. So we are looking at, so these are two which are called world cities, but we have an alternate format which are not as big. So we have another one in North Chennai called Origins Chennai. It's called under the Origins brand, which is a partnership with Sumitomo.
Right.
Sumitomo 40%, we 60%. We have one in Ahmedabad, Origins Ahmedabad, which is in partnership with IFC, 50-50 partnership. And then we are trying to create one where the land acquisition is going on in near Pune, which will be called Origins Pune over a period of time. So we are trying to, Origins Chennai is already active and selling, and infrastructure is there. Ahmedabad and Pune are in the pipeline that will become active in next 2 to 3 years.
Got it. So I'm just thinking now, with such a big push on manufacturing, do you see more industrial clusters driven through private or enterprises in a PPP manner, or some kind of these partnership manner?
We'll have to work that out. I think there is this NICDC, which has announced, the central nodal agency, which has announced 12 logistics and industrial parks across the country, and they are driven by the center but working closely with the state, and they are trying to do it in collaboration with the state, so the land acquisition with state. But there are some discussions on how private players can actually come in and help make those parks really successful.
Right.
Like if it is only state only, it has a different level of feel, infrastructure, the procurement, like the auction process, etc. Very, very, I would say, with due respect, somewhat bureaucratic, right? Ours is a lot more faster, agile. As the economics work out, you will find the right clientele. So there is a desire to learn from what government and nodal agencies can do right in terms of land acquisition, getting state and center together, and then potentially tapping into what private players like us can do really well, local as well as global. So there are some discussions going on. Given what's happening with the tariff across the world, just an example, the semiconductor, for example, like there was shortage of semiconductors, for many sectors, right? And some of our other business houses have taken leadership position, and it's in close consultation with the government, right? Similarly, I would find that many of these corridors will supply rare earth material or some other components that will be very useful from a national interest point of view, but also from an economic point of view, and we'll see more of those to happen in near future.
Right. And here's something I'm really curious about. How do you see large enterprises now viewing flexible workspaces as a core real estate strategy rather than just a contingency or a short-term measure or a cost-cutting measure?
Yeah, no, that's your business. I think this is probably the best thing that happened to commercial real estate, right? And I say that because last Friday we opened our small office in one of the co-working locations in Bangalore.
Right.
And when the team came to me, hey, we want to, hire an office for, I said, why don't we look at co-working space? Because of 2 or 3 reasons. One is obviously it's less of cost, it's more of the flexibility, right? Because if I want to hire for 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, my growing organization, I don't want to plan for 100 people in year one, where I have the flexibility to ramp up to 100 people in, let's say, 5 years, right? And that flexibility is valuable. And that is only thing that's possible from a co-working partner. So that's one. The second is co-working has evolved significantly in the last few years, from providing just space to, I would say, a nice office culture, right? Small things like coffee machines or cookies or just the look and feel of co-working is generally much better than some of the more traditional corporates, right? And it makes you feel young, it makes you feel energetic. The network effect of working in some of these things is outstanding. And I'll tell you one small fun story. Birla Centurion has co-works, right?
Right.
And I was with one of my clients, was going there frequently. So I was sitting in one of the conference rooms and I look across, there was another company. So I saw one of my classmates sitting there.
Oh, nice.
So he was working at, I think, IBM or one of the tech firms. I said, hey, how come you're here? I said, yeah, I'm here consulting. Then, I walked across on the same floor and I saw one of my other classmates. I never met her for like 20 years.
Right.
And we were like, are you the same person? Because we had age like that. So third person. And then we went downstairs, met two more people. So in one day, we met five of us met from the same undergrad, class in the same location. And we were working for different companies and, would not have been possible without if it was only a Mahindra office or a Bain office, etc. So network effect is, exciting. And the last part is, I think, the facilities, right? The flexibility of getting like a conference room or video conference or any kind of infrastructure that's needed on an on-demand basis. I think that just gives you the option to take the office experience to a different level altogether. And now many of these, yourself included, are trying to do so much on the facilities and infrastructure that, can make any good quality office space kind of envy.
So this makes my day. I love hearing more about the positive reviews about co-working. Validates what we do.
Yeah.
And we've touched upon sustainability, Amit. Can you share some more specific examples how Mahindra Lifespaces is embedding sustainability into project design and operations?
Yeah. So I think I covered some of that already.
Yes.
So I'll try to quickly build on that. The first part is on the design part, and the glass, the cross ventilation of lobbies, choice of material that we use, study of sun pattern, etc. are part of the design.
Right.
And if you design something really well, it just helps you. Helps you in the downstream construction and selling process. It's very helpful. So that's one part. Design and sustainability go very well together. The second part is in construction, there is a lot of material substitution that could happen. So, when you do concrete, you also have the ability to use something called GGBS, ground granulated blast furnace slag. So it's like the byproduct from the blast furnace process, right?
Right.
Which is very strong, and you can replace, is stronger than, let's say, the blockwork that you typically, or brickwork that you typically use. And it's like the byproduct of another, very less friendly, environment friendly, process. So if you are able to use that and put it into use into your product and still make it stronger, it has a huge positive impact from a sustainability point of view. We have gone up to 35% substitution in many of the projects, right? Which is stronger, more efficient, and sustainable, right? We will push for more, but let's see the results, in next few years. And then there is another something called the cement, LC3, lime calcinated carbonated cement. So that's something that's, again, LC3 is very, very useful. We are exploring that, how you can actually substitute that. There are many small things that we can do in terms of material substitution and you do the construction aspect, right? The last is, as we operate into an office, we have found that our own practices, like which is common for most corporates, can be more efficient. Like how do we use air conditioning, electricity, and that becomes very pronounced when you are at a project site. So projects don't always have electricity, which is so they use generators, diesel generator, which is very polluting, right? So what we have done is many times we buy solar modules, which will ultimately go to the project, and then we generate part of the electricity consumed during construction right there, and we are able to bring down the cost, but also the sustainability, improve the sustainability quotient factor. So they were doing multiple things on the design, construction, substitution, as well as on the project side to improve our sustainability agenda.
Perfect. And so let's shift gears now. Let's play a quick game of instincts quiz. Short questions and snappy answers.
Okay.
I'll start with the first one. One word to describe your leadership style.
One word, empowerment.
Okay. If you could play a round of golf with any one person, living or legendary, who would it be?
Couple there.
Okay.
Yeah, we have seen him play, but I always wanted to play with him. So I play golf quite a bit.
Right.
And I've seen him play multiple times. I love to. He plays really well. I love to play with him, and also learn from him what he has gone through in his career. Right.
Right. We'd love to, hear his 83 stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen the movie, but I think nothing better than the horse's mouth, I think.
So, which IPL team would you like to own and why?
Well, my favorite has always been RCB, and finally they won after 18 years. So till that time, till before the finals, I was like, this team has had so much potential, including Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, Chris Gayle, and many other stellar team members, but they never achieved that. But that's now finally at least a piece. We are at peace, I guess, on that front. But that's a team that has always excited me, and Virat Kohli has been in the center of it. I would love to own if I have the opportunity and flexibility.
Great. So, biggest risk you have taken in your career?
Move from Bain US to Bain India as the first employee.
Right.
We didn't have any, not even an office. Our office was not even registered. I just trusted the system and the opportunity. It was a little bit pulled from a family point of view. So I think that was one of the bigger risks that I've taken.
And you shared an interesting story that how you got stuck in India and then it happened for you.
So I came here for a project, and then I had to renew my H1 visa, and I went to the US consulate, just like H1 visa regulation, regular update. They said, oh, your name has hit the FBI list, and there is another Amit Sinha who's not on the wanted list, who's on the wanted list maybe. So we have to go to every place you ever stayed in US and do background search. That took 4 to 5 months. So my office in Boston said, why don't you do some client development? And then one of the clients said, why did you start? And we were like, okay, we don't have an office, we don't have an employee, I was just doing some hobby client development. But then I went back to Boston, within a month I was back. So that also triggered I've accelerated our move to start the office.
Right.
And the hindsight, I don't think I had time to think. I just went to
yeah. So AI in real estate, you think is it overhyped or underutilized?
It's not overhyped, but it's underutilized. Because we have not yet figured out what use cases that we can actually deploy. We are doing a few things on the back end side, but I think the real value will come when we go to the projects, and then we are able to improve the productivity of people working in the construction. Like that's a significant opportunity, but I think we are a little bit away from seeing some of that impact.
Yeah. So best advice you've received in Mahindra?
I'll give credit to Anish, who's our group CEO. He said, just build relationships. Because that will give you the opportunity to create value significantly. If people trust you, if people understand you and you understand them, that will go very far.
Right. And a must-have in your work cabin.
Must have in my work cabin. A pin-up board, large,
Okay.
where you could put pictures of teams, golf, fun things. I just got a new office, so it's a tough pin-up board, so I'm trying to change that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A startup or innovation real estate that has impressed you recently.
I think what has impressed me is I would just go back to the previous discussion you're having, the material substitution. I didn't know about it actually, and I said, "Are you sure it's strong?" Because my biggest worry is strength, and then I tested it like right in front of my eyes. I tested it with that machine and everything, right? That is a huge innovation, and it's like sustainable, it's efficient, it's stronger, it ticks many boxes, and I think we'll hopefully find many more substitution options as we take construction industry to a different level.
Right. And best city you have lived in?
Best, I would say, Indian cities I would go is my first job was Jamshedpur.
Yeah.
And it was one of the fabulous experiences for two reasons. The city was amazing, city clean, and that was the first time I was earning. So I didn't have to ask anybody for money. So those are amazing memories.
Right. And finally, your message to young professionals listening today who want to lead, build, or transform the real estate ecosystem.
I would use a few more words, I think, here. I think there is no substitute for hard work and excellence. There is no shortcut. So that's one, I would say. But as you try for that, keep in mind that you need to be humble, you need to be self-aware, and you need to build your network effectively. These, hard work and excellence plus some of these qualities will help you achieve your aspirations.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, this has been really great. Thank you for being so open and sharing your insights. It's inspiring to see someone combine purpose with performance at this scale. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed the conversation. Great.